All right, so the one thing I definitely need all of you to write down is this percent proportion right here on the bottom of the page. I want you to write is over of is equal to 100, I'm sorry, percent over 100. Everybody jot that down, please. This is what I want everybody to write on your paper. I want you to write, this is the percent proportion is over of percent over 100. I also want you to make a note that the is means the part, P-A-R-T, over whole, W-H-O-L-E. All right, part over whole. So add that to your little percent proportion, please. So everybody wrote down this percent proportion, right? All right, make sure those cameras are on, everybody. Hi, Jenna Kate. Hi, Bianca. Turn on your cameras, please. All right, did you write it down, everyone? Yes, thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's move on. All right, in some percent questions, there might be strategies we already know that can be used to help us find an answer. So if I tell you to find 25% of 20, well, hopefully you realize, or you should know, but in 7th grade, I hope you do know, when you see the word of in math, that means you are going to multiply. All right, I don't know where I can't get my pen working here. All right, I'm having technical difficulties. Let me try this one more time. Oh, there we go. All right, so you need to know that the word of in math means that you are going to multiply. So if I was asking you to find 25% of 20, one of the strategies you can use is turning your percent into a decimal. You move your decimal 2 places to the left, and you simply are going to multiply 20 times 0.25. So to find 25% of 20, we would turn our percent into a decimal, and we're going to multiply 20 times 0.25. Who knows what it is? Someone tell me, please. It is Layla. Layla says it's 5. Absolutely. So if we multiply, we would get 500. There's 2 numbers behind the decimal. So 25% of 20 is 5. However, we can still do the same math problem using the percent proportion. Okay, when thinking about this problem, I might be able to draw a picture to help myself answer this question. So basically, if you have a strip of paper and we divide it into 4 equal parts, and each part is made up of 5 units, 5, 10, 15, 20, the whole thing represents 20. And if we're figuring out 25% of it, we're just talking about one section, right? So this is a way drawing a picture might be able to help you visually see the percent of a number. But also, like I said, that percent proportion can help us figure out the answer as well. So if you can't remember, hey, I need to turn this into a decimal multiply, we're going to use our percent proportion. And the way we do that is we think of these words is over of, percent over 100. So every single time you see a percent, That's the number that goes over 100. So 25 over 100, because 25 is the percent. And then don't forget our words here. We have the word is and of. So what do you see right here in front of the number 20? You see the word of, right? So our of would go on the bottom. So we could put our 20 on the bottom, and then our part is what's missing. So using that percent proportion, this is what it would look like, guys. And then how do I solve for variables and proportions? What would I do? I would cross multiply. And then you can divide by whatever's attached to the variable. So 100 times x is 100x. 20 times 25 is 500. And then if I divide both sides by 100 to get x by itself, once again, I'm going to get the answer 5. So if you use this percent proportion correctly, by helping you set it up the right way, you're going to get the right answer. Layla also said you could divide by 4. If you're finding 25% of something, that's a fourth. So very good, Layla. That's exactly right. All right, who has a question? Anyone? All right, so let's look at some more examples. So they've done this. They're using the percent proportion. They put 25 over 100 because 25 is the percent. We don't know what is 25% of 20, but of goes on the bottom. And now we have to have one thing. We only have one thing missing, the part. So that becomes our x. So like I said, we would cross multiply. 100x equals 500. We get the same answer of 5. All right, and of course you have access to my slide deck, all right? All right, so now we're gonna look at another example. Now we're gonna find 75% of 40. So if we just use that percent proportion, remember it's is over of equals percent over 100. All right, so of these 3 sections, where am I putting 75? Where am I putting 75? Y'all can unmute and tell me. Yeah, in the percent section, because 75 is the percent. So our percent always goes over 100. Where does our 44 go? Is it on the top or on the bottom? Yep, it's on the bottom. Why is 44 on the bottom? Because we see the word of, and of always goes in the denominator. And so we don't know what our part is. So once again, we're going to cross multiply. So what's 100 times x? 100x. Yep. What's 44 times 75? Who knows? 44 times 75. 3,300. And then to get our final answer, the opposite of times 100, we would divide both sides of the equal sign by 100. And what is our final answer? What's 3,300 divided by 100? It's 33. So what is 75% of 44? The answer is 33. And we found that out by using the percent proportion. So if you missed it, hopefully you now see why. Any questions? All right. Since it's strictly a percent of a number, though, I would just go ahead and move that decimal over. 0.75 times 44, that'd be the fastest way to do that one. But it's good to know different strategies, okay? You could draw a picture. 75% is 3/4 of a piece of paper. If we divide that into 4 equal parts, each section would have 11. So once again, we would see that the answer is 33. I use the percent proportion, which is what they're showing you now. And we got the same answer. All right, so far so good, everybody? All right, so on this one, 40% of 50. All right, I want everybody to try that. Draw a picture, turn 40% into a decimal and multiply or set up your proportion. And I want everyone to send me an answer. Ready, set, go. All righty. Jeremy, good. Emma, you got it? Karen, good. James, look at what you typed to me. Oh, Luke, try one more time, then you'll get it. Caitlin, good. Good, Luke. You got it that time, buddy. Yay. All right, good, Evan. All right, Layla. Good, Kaylee. Everybody should be sending me answers. Everybody. There's a lot of you. That should be a lot of answers. All right, so if you turned 40% into a decimal, you would have got 0.4 or 0.40. And all you have to do is multiply that by 50. And if you do that right, get your decimal in the right spot, it's 20. 20 is the right answer. If you use the percent proportion, this says of 50. So that means 50 would be in the denominator. We don't know our is. Every time we see a percent, we put it over 100. And then when you cross multiply, you get 100x is equal to 2,000. And then when you divide by 100, you get 20. Okie dokie. So good for you, those that got it right. Very nice. So this kind of goes through the whole process. You can either draw a picture. You can divide 100 into 5 equal parts. You can use the percent proportion, which is what I used. And either way we do it, the answer is 20. All right, so once you start doing these problems on your own and you need a little bit more review, you can open your Launch Point and watch this Brain Pop video. And then there's actually a quiz afterwards. You can test yourself. So take the time to do that if you need to. All right, now sometimes the questions aren't that straightforward, so that sometimes it's not easy to figure out what the picture would look like. It's not easy enough just to turn your percents into decimals and multiply. So we definitely do need to use that percent proportion some of the time. So for example, this one's similar to the ones that we were already looking at. This is of 35. So once again, this would be the same thing. We would still have our 35 on the bottom. Our percent would go over 100. 35, since it's connected to the word of, means it's the whole and the part is missing. So on this one, like the others, we would cross multiply. We'd get 525 divided by 100, and the answer would be 5.25. But we are going to look at some where our wholes on the bottom are missing. All right, now it says, so you got to pay attention to the wording, okay? You got to read it carefully. 30 is what percent of 240? Okay, so you got to find each of these parts and this proportion down here and plug in where they go. All right, so where does my 30 go? The numerator or denominator? It's connected to the word is, right? Is goes on top. Nope, is goes on top. 30 is, where does my, what goes over my 100? What goes here? Well, that's our variable because we don't know what percent. Yep, that's our variable X or whatever we want to use. And then do you see the word of? 240 of goes on the bottom. So this is what our percent proportion looks like. So everybody jot down this question and jot down our percent proportion. Everybody write it down. Is everyone listening to me? Christian, do I have your attention? Wyatt, do I have your attention? Are you listening to me? Loud and clear. Thank you so much. All right, so I asked you all to write down our original question, and I asked you all to write down our percent proportion. So you guys see where all the parts fit into our percent proportion? Does that make sense to you? All right, now how are we going to solve for X? Well, just like earlier, we're going to cross multiply and divide, okay? So what's 240 times X? Yep, 240X. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Karen. And then what's 100 times 30? 3,000. And now to solve for X, guys, what are we dividing both sides by? We're dividing both sides by 240. You got it. Thank you. Whatever's attached to the variable, that's what we're dividing by. So 240 divided by 240 is 1. 1 times X is X. And then in our calculators, we're typing in 3,000 divided by 240. And Karen beat me to it. Does anyone else have the right answer? That's not what I got. Jenna Kate, fantastic. The answer is 12.5. The answer is 12.5. We're simply putting this into our calculators. 3,000 divided by 240. Got it, everybody? Am I going too fast, too slow? What? Good, Isabella. All right, so I'm going to erase this slide unless someone says, wait, please. Awesome. All right, let's look at another one. So once again, that percent always goes over 100. It never changes. When we're talking about percents, even if it's more than 100%, our denominator is still going to be 100, okay? And the is the part, and the word whole is going to be represented by the word of. All right, so I'm going to do 2 of these with you, and then I want all of you to do the other 4. All right, so we'll call this numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, take a look at all of them. Figure out which one might trick you, and I'll do those 2 with you. Whoever calls out a number first, I'll do those with you. All right, Peyton said 5. Layla, okay, so I got 2 numbers. I got 5 and 6. So those are the ones I'll do with you. So everybody take a look at 5. It says 60 is 30% of what number? So let's go ahead and write our percent for proportion. Is over of equals percent over 100. All right, so where is our 60 go? What word is 60 going to take the place of? Yep, the word is. It says 60 is. So right here on the top, we're putting 60 over a number. And then we can always go ahead and fill out one of your 100s. So whichever side you want your percents on. So where does our 30 go in our percent proportion? Yep, it is the percent. It is the percent. And so what we're missing is it says of what number? So we're missing the of. So there's our variable right there on the bottom. Got it? How do we solve for x? What are we going to do? We're going to cross multiply and divide. So 30 times x is 30x. Whoops, I didn't mean to draw that line. Pretend I didn't. Is equal to 100 times 60 is 6,000. And now what do we divide by? Good, Caitlin. Oh my goodness, you are doing all of them. We're going to divide by 30 because that's what is attached to our variable. So what is the answer? It's 200. Yep. So 60 is 30% of 200. That is the right answer. Good, 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 good. All right, I'm actually going to do number 4. I'm going to do number 4 because that's the only one out of 2 that's missing the percentage, okay? So let's set up number 4. So do you see what I see? It says 5 what? What word goes with the number 5? Oh, somebody wants to do 2 instead. Okay. All right, then I'll let you do 4 by yourself. All right, number 2 says, what is 12% of 200 or 24? All right, so it has is over of is equal to a percent over 100. All right, so where does my 12 go? Where does my 12 go? It's the percent, so all percents go over 100. Where does my 24 go? In the denominator, right? And so what are we missing? We're missing the is part. All right, that's where our x goes. So we're all going to cross multiply. So 100 times x is 100x. 24 times 12, what is that? 288. And what are we going to divide by? 100. That's what is attached to our variable. So our answer is x is equal to 2.88. So a small percentage. Good, Karen. Awesome. All right. I want all of you to do numbers 1, 3, 4, and 6. When you send me your answers, please number them so I know what number you're telling me. Okie dokie. All of you. Are you ready? Set. Go. Someone asked what number we're doing. You guys are all doing 1, 3, 4, and 6. And you're sending me your answers, please. All right, one more, about 30 more seconds, guys. Good, Evan. I think you got them all, buddy. Number 4 isn't exactly right. Caitlin, I couldn't find any of your answers. Jenna Kate, you got all except number 3. Number 3 is the only one you missed. Gabriel, you missed number 3 and number 4 and number 6. Caitlin, those are not right, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Good, Kellen. All right, let's go over these. I know you probably didn't have time to finish. Well, some of you did. All right, so if you use your percent proportion, you're going to put 5 is. So if you make a mistake, please try to find it. 5 is of 20. And then we do our percent over 100. So that should be what you wrote. If you cross multiply and divided, you would have had 500 divided by 20. So number 1, the answer was 25%. Number 1 is 25%. Okay, check your percent proportions. All right, number 3, it says what is, so our variable is, we see of 24, 24 goes on the bottom, and then we have a percent, which is 3 over 100. If you cross multiply, you have 100x is equal to 24 times 3 is 72, and when you divide by 100, you actually get 0.72. Number 3 is 0.72. Number 4, 5 is, so 5 is, and then it says of 80. And then the question is what percent? We don't know the percent over 100. That's our correct percent proportion. When you cross multiply, you get 500 divided by 80, which is 6.25. That is the right answer for number 4. And then the last one, what number is? So once again, we're missing the is. We have our of 70 on the bottom. Every time you see a percent, it goes over 100. So when you cross multiply, 100x is equal to 4,200. Divided by 100, our answer is 42. 42 is 60% of 70. All right, who got them all right? Put your hands in the air like you just don't care. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right, is it getting a little easier as we practice? It should be. If you're writing things down and trying them along with us, as you practice, they should be getting a little easier, guys. All right, can I move on, or does anybody need a minute to write down these percent proportions? Okay, and also I am recording this as well. All right, so now that you know all about percent proportions, let's talk about ways this might be used in the real world. All right, so if you ever go to Walmart and you buy a pair of pants for $30, when you get to the cash register, do you pay $30? No, you pay more than $30. Why? What are they going to add to that price?
Tax.
Absolutely, Jenna Kate. That's exactly right. So you should be able to figure out how much sales tax you need to pay on an item. So this is state sales tax in Georgia, 7%. Actually, each county, it can differ by each county. I think I think Hall County is 7%. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. So if you're in Hall County and you buy headphones that are $250, you should be able to figure out how much sales tax they should charge you. Okay. So think about it this way. If we pay $250 which is 100% of the price, right? Plus, they're going to charge you some amount of money, which is 7% of your of the price. In reality, you're not paying 100% of the price. You're paying 107% of the price of that item. You're literally paying 107%. So when it gives you the second example of a percent proportion, that's why the number on the top is 107. Okay. So if you simply find 107% of 250, you could do this in one step instead of finding the sales tax separately and then adding it to 250. All right, so, but anyway, let's figure out exactly just what the tax would be. Well, if you use this percent proportion right here in purple, when you cross multiply, you would get 100x is equal to 250 times 7, which is 1750. And then when I divide both sides by 100, I would figure out that my sales tax is going to be $17.50. So they're going to charge me $17.50 plus the price of the headphones. So the first question, how much is the tax alone? It's $17.50. How much would the total cost be? Well, I have to add $17.50 to my price of $250. And what are you going to get? I would get $267.50 would be the total price of the headphones with sales tax. So the second percent proportion won't give you the sales tax by itself, but it will give you the total price, including sales tax. All right, do you understand? All right, now this one, sometimes if you go somewhere in a store and your mom, you wanted to buy something for $250, let's say, and your mom goes, no, that's too expensive. What are you going to be waiting for? What's the only way the price will go down? If they have a sale, right? So let's say next time you go in the store, you're like, Mom, hey, they have a 30% off sale. Well, you have to take that percentage and subtract it from the total cost to figure out the new price. So you have two examples here of proportions. The first one is simply going to tell you 30% of the total, which is how much money they're going to subtract away from $1,000. But where does this 70 go? How do they get a 70 down here according to this math problem? Why would we use a 70 instead of a 30? Where does the 70 come from? Do you have any idea? Well, kind of like we did over here, right? We took our original price, 100%, and we added 7% to it, and that told us we would pay 107% of the price. Well, if somebody takes 30% off a price, so if $1,000 represents 100% of the price, but they're going to subtract 30%, in reality, we'll be paying 70% of the price. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's the other part of the percent that makes up 100%. Exactly, Kellen. Thank you. So this percent proportion will tell you how much they're going to subtract from $1,000. This percent proportion is actually going to tell you the final price with that total discount being subtracted off the $1,000. Okay. So there's two separate ways you can figure out your percentages this way. Now, the last one, if you are a salesperson, if you are a car salesman, or if you sell jewelry, or if you're a real estate agent, you actually work off commission, which is how you get paid. So for every time you make a sale, they're going to give you a part of that total. So if this car salesperson makes 22% commission, and his total sales were 3,680, that means his salary is based on this amount. So in order to figure out his commission, we're going to figure out what is 22% of 3,680. So this percent proportion will tell us what his amount is. And then to figure out his total paycheck, they would take 100% of his salary and add the 22% to it, which would give them 122% of his total paycheck for that week. All right, so I know we are out of time, but I just want you to see how these different proportions can help us figure out parts of these questions individually. All right, guys, does anybody have any questions or anything you want to add before we jump off? All right, so you have access to my slide deck, so go back and look at them if you need to, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll help you every chance I get. All right, guys? Good to see you. Everybody have a great day. Bye, guys. Have a good day.